Hey, Quest kiddos. So today we are going to do 8-2 special right triangles. All right. Now we're going to skip this warm-up problem right here just because it's really long and I find that it's not worth it. So if you do want to do it, go ahead and pause right now. If you got your answer should be about, it's really long, about that. Okay. If you have questions on how I got that, you can shoot me an email and ask. But it's a long problem, so I'm not going to go through it all. If you got it, great. If not, not a big deal, because we're going to move on and talk about special right triangles. The first one being a 45, 45, 90 triangle. Now, this is also an isosceles right triangle, understanding that the two legs are congruent to each other, and that hypotenuse has a special relationship with those two legs. In any 45, 45, 90 triangle, both legs are congruent, and the length of the hypotenuse is root 2 times the length of a leg. So in this case, if instead of our sides or our legs being S, let's say there were 5. No, let's say there were 8. We could easily find the hypotenuse. It would just be 8 root 2. And that's it. Okay, and here's why. Because really we're doing 8 squared plus 8 squared equals what squared, right? Well, 8 squared is 64, and 64 plus 64 is 128. Okay, so now we got to take the square root of 128. Well, that's really just the same thing as 64 times 2. And guess what? The square root of 64 is 8, and you're left with root 2. So it's just 8 root 2. So it's kind of a cool relationship. You can see that every time the legs are congruent, it's a 45, 45, 90 degree triangle. The hypotenuse is just root 2 times one of the legs. Let's apply it to this problem. What is the value of each variable? Okay, so 45, 45, 90. We know that's 8. We know that's 8. So h is simply 8 root 2. Done. Okay, ooh, what about b? All right, so if that length is x, that's also x, right? And the hypotenuse is just the length of a leg times root 2. So take away the root 2 and you're left with x just being 5. Easy. Okay, let's try to challenge you. Finding the length of a leg. What is the value of x? Pause, see if you can do this one on your own. All right, so really all we're doing here is we're taking the length of the leg. Okay, we understand they're the same. The length of the hypotenuse is root 2 times that length of the leg. So to get rid of, to go from the hypotenuse to a leg, all we need to do is take our hypotenuse and divide it by root 2. All right, and we see that 10 divided by root 2 is 7.07. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to look through the other one. So 5 times root 2, what is that? Ooh, just to double check, I want to make sure what 10 root 2 is. Okay, so the answer is just 5 root 2. And there it is. Nice. So you can kind of see from that hypotenuse to get to a leg, you simply divide by root 2. To get from a leg to the hypotenuse, you multiply by root 2. Okay. So let's try it on a word problem. A courtyard is shaped like a square with 250-foot long sides. Square. (250-foot long sides). What is the distance from one corner of the courtyard to the opposite corner? All right, well, guess what? That's a 45, 45, 90. Okay, so if we know the length of the leg is 250, length of the hypotenuse is just 250. Let's say round it to the nearest tenth, so it's about 353.6. Done. So there's our first one, 45, 45, 90. All right. We also have a 30, 60, 90 triangle theorem. Now this one's a little bit trickier. Okay, it's not just times root 2. Now in a 30, 60, 90 degree triangle, there's 3 sides. There's the shortest side we'll call S, or we'll just try 4. Now the shortest side and the longest side, those are easy. The shortest side and the longest side of the hypotenuse, The longest side of the hypotenuse is just double the shortest side. So if that's 4, that's 8. Easy, right? However, that middle side, okay, or the longer of the two legs, that is the shortest length times √3. Like that, okay? So again, the shortest length is half the length of the hypotenuse, and the longer leg is whatever the shorter leg's length is times √3. Okay, so let's see if we can apply it to problem number 4 here. What is the value of f in simplest radical form? Okay, so we know the shortest length, 5 √3 divided by 3, and we know the longer leg, 5, okay? We want to know the longest length, the hypotenuse. So really, that's just double the shortest. Like that, right? So I just multiply. And that's it. That's my answer. Done, right? The longest side, the hypotenuse, is twice as long as the shortest side. So that'd be it. Done. And our last problem, a 30, 60, 90-degree triangle, okay? So that is an equilateral triangle off to the right, which means all angles are 60 degrees, right? We want to know what is the height of an equilateral triangle with sides that are 12 centimeters long. Each side is 12 centimeters. We want to know what is the height. Well, if that height, it cuts the side in half. So now my bottom base is just 6 centimeters. And this angle, the top angle got cut in half. So I see a 30, 60, 90 triangle here, okay? So again, my shortest length is 6. My hypotenuse is double of my shortest length, which makes sense, which means my longer the legs is the shortest length times √3. So in this case, it'd be 6 times √3. And there it is. Rounded to the nearest tenth, if you plug that in your calculator, you should get about 10.4 centimeters. And there it is. Okay. So your homework is on the next page. I believe it is only, oh no, it's 2 pages. Okay. The first 8 problems, you are just trying to figure out missing variables. Okay. All of them can be related to either a 45, 45, 90 or a 30, 60, 90 or Pythagorean theorem. Okay. And the last page is just 2 word problems and then a couple other ones. Okay. If you're having troubles, let me know. Otherwise, have a wonderful day. I look forward to hearing from you soon and best of luck. Take care, kiddos.